All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. So thank you so much for coming. I know that it's a lovely day out and it's about dinner time, so I really appreciate you coming to hear about publishing Universal Windows apps. So who in the room has an app in the Windows Phone Store today? And who also has an app in the Windows Store today? So today we're going to talk about bringing those together into one store and what that means for your apps. I'm Jonathan Garrigue. I'm a program manager on the Dev Center team within the Windows Store. And today with my colleagues Ted Driggs and Matt Cowan, we're going to talk about publishing Windows apps. We are really interested in your feedback, not only in the questions we're going to have time for when we're done, but also your online feedback. What you have to say is super important to us. So this morning, in the What's New in the Windows Store presentation, you heard Ashish and Adrian share the vision of one store for one app platform, one OS. And today we're going to zoom in to the experience of publishing apps to that single store. And we're going to do that by looking at one portion of our new single Dev Center. Now, this is one of many talks about the Dev Center and all the various new features that we have. You want to definitely catch the two talks we have tomorrow morning. There's acquiring users and monetizing your apps talk, and also monetize and promote your apps with ads. And I have some colleagues that will be doing that tomorrow, and they'll be doing deep dives on those. But today we're going to talk about submission. And submission covers a couple key things. It covers the convergence of two separate dashboards today into a single dashboard. It covers how to add a Windows 10 package to an existing app. It covers the new services that we enable in the new dashboard. And it also covers new audiences that we're opening up that weren't present before Windows 10. And I should add that as of yesterday, the new dashboard is available for you in preview mode. And your apps are already there. And we'd love for you to take a look and tell us what you think. So with a single Dev Center, we have a fundamental shift in how publishing works in terms of the existing dashboards have a one-to-one relationship with the type of client that you can expect your customer to have. There's one dashboard for Windows Phone and one dashboard for Windows Store. So when it comes to publishing your app and crafting your metadata, which shares with your customer what the experience is of your app, you've been publishing at a customer base that had a very particular device family. And suddenly we have one store with many types of devices, both desktop and mobile clients for Windows 10, but also all of the existing desktop and mobile clients. Windows Phone 7, 8, 8.1, Windows 8 and 8.1, and all of the new devices that we're bringing for Threshold. Oops, I said Threshold, it's Windows 10. Xbox, HoloLens, Surface Hub. All of these get information from this single store. We also have new web storefronts. Now, the existing systems each have a web storefront. There's one web storefront for Windows Phone and one for Windows. But now there are multiple web storefronts, and they cover all of the devices. There's one for consumers. There's one for business. And you don't necessarily know when you're publishing to these new storefronts what type of device your customer is going to ultimately install it on. So it's best to describe your app in a way that talks to your experience across all of the devices that you support. And you'll do this with a single submission. So as I said, all of your apps are already in the new dashboard. You go to one place, it lists all the apps. For each app, all of the data, all of your packages, all of your metadata, all of your descriptions, happens as a part of a single subscription. And that single subscription has one event, one button to push to say publish, one certification, one time to go live. So there's no more trying to time one system to go live with another. It all happens at once, and it happens for all clients. And this really aligns with how your customers already see your apps, not as a collection of packages built with different SDKs and for different devices, but as a single experience that they can buy and get on whatever Windows device they happen to be using. And by doing it as one submission, this makes it easy to add Windows 10 packages to your existing apps. So let's talk a little bit about how we got to this point. So 2 years ago at Build, we essentially had two separate disconnected experiences. On the consumer side, you would find an app that you like in the Windows Phone Store, you would buy it, and then if you found it in the Windows Store, you would buy it again. On the dev side, we had two portals that didn't have awareness of each other. And we heard your feedback. Both your consumers wanted a buy once, get anywhere experience. So in 2014, we created that consumer experience. And we did this by introducing the concept of a linked app, an app that shares the same identity between the Windows Phone Store and the Windows Store. And we enabled this consumer experience by making the two portals, or the two dashboards, aware of each other and aware of the apps that you created in one. If you reserved a name in the Windows portal, you could then go to the Windows Phone portal, and you could choose that same name and publish that same app to those clients. So this year, we're really happy to share with you that we have a single developer experience. Everything's in one place. All of your apps are in one place. All of your in-app purchases are in one place. And we've now aligned that developer experience with the consumer experience, which is still incredibly relevant, even more so with all the new devices. That buy once, get anywhere is super relevant. So we're going to look at some of the details about how we took the data that you managed in two separate systems and merge it into a single system going forward. So this slide has a conceptual representation of one linked app, shares the same identity, published in both the Windows Phone Dev Center and the Windows Dev Center. So we're going to go through piece by piece and show you how we construct that same app in our new One Dev Center single dashboard. So as I mentioned, it's a linked app. It shares one identity already. It has one reserved name, and under the hood, the packages have the same identity details. So that becomes one application in the new dashboard. Now, you have collections of packages that you've been managing in different places. On the Windows Phone side, you might have up to 3 different sets, your 7.1, your 8, your 8.1, some were Zaps, some were AppX. All of those packages are still part of your app, as are the Windows packages, your 8, your 8.1. All of them happen to be AppX. Some might be AppX bundles, but at the end of the day, they're AppX. Those all go into a single collection of packages, and we make it very clear what comes from where, make it easy to manage. It's your pricing. So our principle here was, when we're merging these linked apps together, what is the right experience for the consumer? And when you have apps that work across multiple devices, the consumer experience that we're aiming for is, we purchase that app once, therefore we have one price. Now, you can do fancy things with in-app purchases if you want to differentiate your app and make things available based on price. But from a simple model, there is one price for your app. The listings are also one store listing. Now, your Windows 10 users are seeing this listing now, but we're not changing anything. We know that some of you have customized your listing for the existing clients because where the line break happens on a particular client is important for how many words are above the fold. I know some of you are very detailed on that. That stays the same for your existing clients. We haven't changed anything for what those clients see. But your new Windows 10 clients, they have one listing, and we'll get into even more detail in a minute. Now let's talk about IAPs. For a linked app, it is possible to have some in-app purchases that are linked and some that are not. So in this illustration, I have 2 IAPs that were initially managed in the Windows Phone system, and 2 IAPs that were managed in Windows. The differentiating factor for a linked IAP is what you named it. That each IAP has a product ID. It's the string that you use in your code to identify that IAP. If you use the same product ID, then it is a shared entitlement, and we are going to represent it in the new Dev Center as a single IAP. So IAP1 in this example comes just from the Windows Phone system. you'll see IIP1. IIP2 comes from both. It already has a shared entitlement, so in the new Dev Center, it is imported as a single in-app purchase. IIP3 just from Windows, imported as a single. So you had 4 IIPs, or it felt like you had 4 IIPs. You actually had 3, and now we're representing it as 3. Now, the data wasn't necessarily always the same. In fact, some of the core options were just a little bit different between the Windows Phone system and the Windows system. So we're going to be really transparent about when we needed to pick one or the other in order to create the consumer experience that we wanted, that we're going to share this with you so that you're still in control of what your Windows 10 users see. And we're going to blog about this. We'll have a blog that comes out tomorrow that has all the details of how we're merging these linked apps. So again, conceptually, we have a linked app in both the Windows Phone and Windows Dev Center. We're going to show you what gets preserved when we do the merge in the new Dev Center. The application is the same. You'll see one application. We'll take the base price from Windows. Now, we know that Windows Phone had this great extra feature of a per-market price. Windows 10 supports per-market pricing. We're going to bring that data forward, and your per-market price will apply in Windows 10 if you happen to fill it out in Phone. Your list of markets is additive. Anywhere that your app was available in either system, it is going to continue to be available in Windows 10. So we bring the full list of markets forward. Your description, we are going to bring from Windows. And we do this because the Windows description actually has some additional details that the Phone description doesn't. Now, you're still in full control of editing that description, and we'll tell you in a moment how you can update it for your Windows 10 users. Your screenshots, we are also bringing from both. So remember, the key difference between this new Dev Center and the old ones are we have multiple clients that are looking, and we have multiple device families where we're showing all of the experience as it crosses these device families. So we want to actually show your users, here's how it looks on phone, and here's how it looks on desktops and tablets and other devices. Now, our client team has done a fair amount of work on categories, a lot of research into how users look for apps, what's the best way to find apps, and the categories in Windows 10 are slightly different. We've optimized them for that consumer scenario. The list of categories in Windows and Windows Phone today is slightly different, and they're both slightly different from Windows 10, so we map the category. The Windows 10 categories are closer to the Windows category, so we're using the Windows category as a starting point for that mapping. So I just threw a ton of detail at you. We have blogged about it. You'll be able to read that blog tomorrow. And here's what you can do with that information. So your apps are already in the Windows 10 store. We have a job that runs daily that brings all of the updates that you make to your apps in the existing stores into the Windows 10 store. You'll be able to see your apps in the dashboard. Your customers will be able to see and acquire your apps in their Windows 10 clients. So what you can do if you would like to describe the experience of your app as it extends across these device families is you can update the description from the Windows Store, and as soon as you publish that update, a day later, your Windows 10 customers will be able to see it. Now, if you have an experience that spans stores, but you haven't linked them yet, I encourage you to link your apps now. There isn't a way to link your apps in the new portal. Now, there are some really great benefits for linking your apps. The first is, by creating one collection of apps, it makes it really easy to upgrade all of your users to Windows 10. You can do it with one package. And this package becomes an update to any of the existing packages. But the only way that you can do that is if you link the apps together. The second is, we mentioned these web storefronts. There's one facing consumers and one facing businesses. And those web storefronts show all of the apps that run on any device. So if you have an app that you might think of as the same experience, but actually if you have two apps, and one runs only on phone devices and one on desktops and tablets, both will show up in these new web storefronts. By linking your apps, you can make it clear to your customers that They are a single experience that your customers can purchase once. So now my colleague Matt is going to show you how a linked app appears in the new Dev Center.
Thanks, Jonathan. All right. Let's switch over here. So, is it better now? I can talk very loud. Yes, are we good? Good. So what we're looking at here is I've pulled up the Windows Phone Dev Center, the existing one that you're using today to manage your applications. And I have an application published here called Build Tic-Tac-Toe. And this one I've published with two packages. So I've got two Windows Phone 8 zaps, and one of them, just a base zap, nothing special about it, as well as one that's specifically targeted to high memory devices. So I've got both of these packages shipping as part of this application to my users on Windows phones. And what I've done with this application here, and I'll take a look under the details, I've reserved a name on the Windows Phone side when I created this application. You can do that. This is a critical part of linking your applications is reserving that name. You can either do it when you created the app, or you can do an update for your application and reserve a name then. Once you've linked, you'll see that I've got this package identity name. That's the identity that Jonathan was talking about. That's what binds these apps together across the different portals. So you can also see I've got the Windows Publisher name there as well. There's one other thing about this application. I've added an IAP. So I've created this IAP called No Ads. It's a pretty popular IAP. It's a durable. It just turns off the ads in my application. So all of this is published on the Windows Phone side. But I've got the same app with the same identity published on the Windows portal as well. So here we're looking at the Windows dashboard. This is the one that you're using now if you publish Windows applications. You can see that I've got the same IAP, that same No Ads durable IAP here. And I've got exactly one package published off to Windows, which is an 8.1 Apex package that you can see down here. So I've got all of this published off to Windows available for my Windows users. So all of this is live in both of those dashboards, and I've been managing them there. But now, as Jonathan mentioned, this went live yesterday. You can look at this right now. If you come to dev.windows.com, when you click on Dashboard, you're going to be presented with three options. You can go to the Windows Store or the Windows Phone Store and manage your apps there. Or what we'd love you to do is go and visit the new dashboard and see what your apps look like in the new dashboard. So here we are in the new dashboard, and I've got my Build Tic-Tac-Toe app right here in the top corner. Let's go take a look at that one. So what's important is this is one application now. This was two applications in two different portals. Because I linked them, this is just Build Tic-Tac-Toe in the new portal here. I've already created a new submission. We'll go into that in a second. But the other thing that I want to mention is that No Ads. I had two IAPs. I managed them twice. One IAP right here, just No Ads. You manage it, update it, all on its own. So let's go in and take a look at submission 2. This is just an update to the application that I've created here. And the first thing that you should notice is this packages section has, exactly as you would expect, 3 packages. It has both of my Windows Phone 8 zaps and my Windows 8.1 Apex package. And as Jonathan mentioned, we try to separate these out for you so that you understand, OK, you have a good understanding of what's shipping with your application each time you click that submit button. So we filter these out into different sections. So I've got my Windows 8.1 package here, as well as my 2 Windows Phone 8 packages here as well. So to show you just how easy it is to update this application with a new Windows 10 package, I've got a Windows 10 package already built. I'm going to pull that up here. Got my Build Tic-Tac-Toe Windows 10 package. You can just drag and drop that onto the control. And this is a cool new control. You can drag and drop as many of the packages as you're updating as you want all at once. They'll all upload in parallel. They'll be analyzed in parallel. And once they're done being analyzed, they'll be sorted into their own section. So now there we go. I've added a Windows 10 package for my application. And now I'm just going to go ahead and save this. So now when I submit this application, now I am submitting this for all existing clients and Windows 10 clients. The Windows 10 clients will get that Windows 10 package. All of my existing clients will continue to get the package that I've shipped. It was just that easy to just manage this one app in the new portal. So I encourage you guys to go ahead and try this out. It'll be read-only right now, so you won't be able to drop any new Windows 10 packages just yet. But do take a look and see what it's like. And one of the most important pieces is use this feedback button. It's on every single page on the portal. When you see something you like, you see something you don't like, you see something that looks weird, click that button, let us know. I've already seen quite a few pieces of feedback coming in already, so please do use that button. we look forward to hearing what you guys like, what you guys dislike, and making it better for all of you guys. So with that, I'm going to switch back over here. Give that a second. There we go. Grab the clicker. So that was a quick overview of the new portal. You can go and explore it at your own time, at your own pace. Go ahead and do that. But one of the things we didn't go too deep in is the features that you're used to from both of the old portals. What happened to those? So we took the best features from both of the portals and brought them forward to the new One Dev Center. So if you're used to using the Windows Phone Dev Center, you're very used to being able to hide your apps in the store with one easy click. You're very used to being able to do per market pricing, right? Set different prices in different markets. You're used to being able to do independent IAP publishing, so the ability to create IAPs and update your IAPs independently of your application. And you're also used to the ability to do betas, right? So to create an application and target it to just a select set of audience. So these features, they're coming over from phone, and you can still do them in the new One Dev Center, as well as some of the great features from the Windows portal, things like time-limited trials, things like scheduled sales, so app discounts, as well as the scheduled publish option. So unlike phone, where you'd have to, say, manual publish and come back just at the moment you wanted it to go live, Windows had the ability to say, I want this to publish at exactly this date time, set it and forget it. All of that also comes forward, and you can do all of those things in the Windows 10 Dev Center. Another thing that's important to us about having a single place to go to manage your applications is having, in that single place, all of the services that you're used to using and bringing on some cool new ones. So some of the existing ones that you guys should be used to is push notifications, both MPN and WNS from the existing portals, as well as Here Maps from the Windows Phone side, letting you get that Here Maps token, as well as some cool new ones. So we've got ads and analytics, and I'm not going to dive too deeply into those now. I do encourage you to come to the 2 sessions that are tomorrow. We'll give you a link to those on one of the slides coming up by Jonathan. And Xbox Live, which we announced back at the Games Developer Conference, and you've heard it spoken about quite a few times. It was in both of the keynotes. It was in the earlier store session. But the idea of being able to manage all of your Xbox Live configuration from the same place that you manage and update your applications is great. So you just have to come to one place and do everything about your applications there. So that's really our goal. If you have services that you think should be in there, let us know. Use that feedback control and say, hey, I'd like to be able to manage this from the dev portal as well. One of the cool behind-the-scenes services that we do, which you never really see but happens after you click Submit, is this .NET Native compilation. So for your Windows 10 packages, when you submit those packages to the store, as a part of the publishing process, the store will actually, we will precompile them in the cloud using .NET Native. And this leads to, on average, 50% better startup time and 14% less memory usage. So this will happen for all Windows 10 packages just when you click Submit. You can actually try this out for yourself in Visual Studio when you build a release build. That will actually also get precompiled for you using .NET Native. So you can test and see the benefits that you get with that beforehand, before you even submit to the store. And then store will do it on your behalf as a part of publishing. So this makes your experience across all of our devices quite a bit better. And Ted will come on stage now and talk a little bit more about what it's like to support all the different devices. Thanks.
Thanks, Matt. So Windows believes, and for those of you who have been to the talks earlier about XAML, about sensors, that typically speaking, runtime adaptation is going to give your customers the best experience across all the different devices. Using runtime adaptation and the view state triggers that were covered earlier, you can respond as customers resize your app as to the sensors that are available to you at that point in time and can deliver a great experience. If you do that, though, publishing is going to be fairly easy. You'll have one package that runs across all Windows 10 device families, and that's straightforward. Sometimes that won't be enough. And for those situations, Store enables you to ship as few or as many Windows 10 packages as you need for your customers' requirements. Each Windows 10 package can declare dependencies on these 4 dimensions, and it is applicable to a given device when all of those dependencies that you've declared are satisfied. So you can specify one or more device families. These are you've heard, I think, this list several times over by now. You can also specify processor architecture, as well as foreground memory, which is how much memory your app will be able to use when it's running, and DirectX, which is a combination of the DirectX API level and the hardware feature level that is supported by the device's graphics card. So customers don't see individual packages. If you were to ask your customers how many of them knew whether they had an 8.0 AppX or an 8.1 AppX or a Zap, none of them will know, and none of them should have to know. They think about experiences like Skype rather than the numerous packages that make up that experience. When a customer in the store clicks install on Skype, or when Skype is being automatically updated by the store uses an automatic process to decide which is the best package for that given device. For AppX packages, this means the highest versioned package, which applies to a specific device. In an improvement over our existing behavior, one that will get you more customers on more devices, the Windows 10 Store will now try to install all of the packages that you have currently published for your app before telling the customer that the app cannot be installed, rather than just trying the packages for that version of the operating system. So now I'm going to show you Build Tic-Tac-Toe again. And one thing that Matt didn't go into a lot of detail about is that after you've won 3 or 4 games, it turns into an enormously expansive open-world RPG. Because of this, we ended up having to make some packages to take advantage of system features and deliver better experiences. So we started out with a Phone 8.1 AppX, version 1420. This had no additional requirements. We then went ahead and made a package that took advantage of some of the great improvements in the Windows 10 APIs to deliver a much richer experience. It works across all device families. It works across all architectures. This is a truly universal package that requires 300 megabytes of memory from the device when it's running in the foreground. So to make this example more interesting, I'm now going to take a turn for the contrived and add some more packages to this pile so we can see how different devices interact with them. I'll now add a desktop package. For those of you who just came from John Sheehan's talk about Project Centennial, this could be a converted classic Windows app, or this could be a universal Windows platform app that you've written specifically to take advantage of desktop features. Finally, I will add one more package, package 1.9, which again works across the entire set of device families, but requires that the device have DirectX hardware feature level 12 capable hardware. So let's start by looking at how a gaming desktop will install Build Tic-Tac-Toe. This gaming desktop is a member of the desktop device family. It is running a new build of Windows 10, and it has a very capable graphics card. So package 1.9 is applicable to the device. All the package's stated dependencies are satisfied by this particular device. 1.8.4, same story. 1.6, same story. And 1.4.2, this is a gaming desktop. It's not a phone. The phone package is not applicable. So at this point, this device will install package 1.9. Even though there is a package that is more specific for desktop, you, the developer, are in full control over what store considers better. In this case, the Build Tic-Tac-Toe development team, which was the 3 of us, decided that 1.9 was the best possible experience of Build Tic-Tac-Toe and gave that a higher version number. So now let's look at an older laptop. It's in the fast lane in the Insider program, so it has an even newer version of Windows, still in the desktop device family, has an x86 processor, but doesn't have DirectX feature level 12. Package 1.9 doesn't work on this device. 1.8.4 does, 1.6 does, and it's a laptop, still not a phone, so 1.4.2 is not applicable. In this case, 1.8.4 is the highest versioned package with all of its dependencies satisfied, so that is the one that will be installed. Again, all of this decision-making happens automatically behind the scenes, so the customer just saw Build Tic-Tac-Toe and clicked Install, and the store figured out which package was most appropriate for their device. Finally, let's look at a value phone. There are tons of these out in the market. They are a huge driver of traffic to the store, and they are a valuable part of the Windows Phone ecosystem. So this value phone can offer 190 megabytes of packages to apps that are running in the foreground, and it definitely does not have a DirectX feature level 12 graphics card in its chassis. It's also not a desktop, and it can only offer 190 megabytes to things that are running in the foreground instead of the 300 that the 1.6 package requires. If in the past, at this point, the store would have told this customer that there was no applicable package for their device and not allowed that sale or installation to proceed. This cost you usage, this cost you sales. So now in Windows 10, we will discover that 1.4.2 is still applicable. Windows promises binary backwards compatibility, so the thing that you wrote against the Phone 8.1 SDK will run on Windows 10 Mobile, and we will install that for the customer instead. For those of you who have submitted apps to Windows Phone, you know that at this point, I'm about to have to fill out the same description 4 times over, once for each of these 4 packages, even in the same language. But I said a couple of slides ago that customers don't see packages, they see apps. So why do we have to fill this out 4 times if our customer is only going to see one PDP? Or, sorry, app details page. I'm happy to announce that in Windows 10, you'll be able to provide one description that will work across all Windows devices. This includes existing Windows 8, 8.1, 7.1, and new Windows 10 devices. So you don't have to fill out any additional content beyond what you want to. We've also invested heavily in making sure that customers are aware of the experiences that you are providing across different device families. In Windows 8.1, we added the shared entitlement badge, which said, download this, get this app once, and you can download it on compatible Windows or Windows Phone devices. In Windows 10, we've gone a step further. Now, customers will see all your screenshots on all your Windows 10 devices. So you can see here that this is the desktop version of the Store app, or rather, this is the Store app running on a desktop, and that the screenshots from both device families are shown directly to this customer. We've added a lot of new fields that you are allowed to provide. We've given you the opportunity to provide more screenshots than ever before. But we also have made it simpler for you to submit things. We trust you to decide which fields of all the ones that we expose for you are most relevant and most important for telling your story. And therefore, the only things that you absolutely have to submit now to the store are a description and one screenshot of any size. I'm now going to show you the new app description page experiences in the Dev Center. So what you're seeing here is the ENUS description of my app. Like before, we've pulled the languages that your app supports from the packages, so you don't have to re-enter that by hand. You can see that I have my desktop screenshots and my mobile screenshots here. I'm able to now drag and drop reorder them, which we know has been a point of friction for several people in the past. You can also see that I have, in addition to my default description at the top, a Windows Phone 8.0 description. This is the existing content that I had in the Windows Phone Dev Center. So if I don't make any changes, those customers on Windows Phone 8 will not see any difference from what they are currently being shown. However, if I look at this description text, it's basically the same as my default description, and I don't really want to have to keep the two in sync any longer. So I can go ahead and delete this description. And what I am left with is a single description that has my description, my screenshots for both device families, and then the optional fields that make up the rest of my store listing presence. So we've talked earlier about the importance of runtime adaptivity, and we've talked about the ability that you have to break up your app into multiple packages that declare different dependencies. However, some experiences are defined by hardware, and there's no way around that. The Microsoft Band app needs Bluetooth LE on the device to be able to synchronize with the band and download your data. There is no amount of runtime adaptation that can magically transport that data off of your wrist and onto your phone. For making life more complicated, some of those experience-defining pieces of hardware are peripherals. If you create an app that requires a keyboard to function properly, you have to contend with the possibility that the customer doesn't have their keyboard attached when they're browsing the store, and you lose out on a sale, or they have the keyboard attached, they purchase the app, then the keyboard is removed while your app is running. So how do we make sure that customers know about this experience-defining hardware while also avoiding costing you sales and avoiding customer dissatisfaction? The answer to that is hardware preferences. In the Dev Center, you'll be able to check off pieces of hardware that your app needs in order to provide a useful experience. And then when customers are browsing the store, they will see a warning when they do not have the hardware that you have declared in the Dev Center. They will be allowed to install the app despite the warning. But if they do so, when they come back to review your app, they will find that they are not allowed to write a review unless the device meets the requirements that you've specified. In effect, you told the customer what was needed for a good experience. If they don't listen, you are not accountable for their decisions. The specific hardware that we will support in the Windows 10 RTM timeframe are these: touchscreen, mouse and keyboard, different ways of interacting with your app; camera, which covers front-facing, rear-facing, and peripheral cameras; NFC HCE, also called NFC Secure Element. This is very important for tap-to-pay scenarios; generic NFC connectivity; and then Bluetooth LE and telephony. All of these things are consistently represented across device families. So you don't have to worry about one of these flags meaning something different on a desktop versus a mobile device. Also, these are all detected using public APIs that are part of the Universal Windows platform. The Store app detects these the same way that you would in your code, so you don't have to worry about us using any secret channels and coming up with different answers than you would expect. Finally, I want to talk about using these features that we've just described to bring your app to a new segment of customers, businesses. By default, your app will be available in the business store for enterprises to purchase in bulk. When they do so, the licensing that is applied will be the same as the store's retail licensing and be connected to the store. You can also choose to allow your app to be used in offline or disconnected licensing environments, where the devices might be industrial control systems that are air-gapped from the internet or otherwise are disconnected from store servers for prolonged periods of time. This can open up even further new scenarios for your app than you have previously been able to deliver. You are also now able to privately publish applications to specific businesses. When a business connects their business store account to your Dev Center account, you'll be able to check a box for specific apps to say this app only goes to that enterprise, and thereby bypass having to have the app available in the retail store at all while still satisfying your corporate customers. I'm now going to hand it back to Jonathan to close out the presentation. Thank you.
So that all of the services that your app depends on to deliver these experiences across device families are available in a single dashboard, one place, all your apps, all your IPs, all the services your apps depend on. We talked about new package types for Windows 10, how it's easy to add a Windows 10 package to your existing app, how to ensure and have transparency on which package gets delivered to which client depending on the things that you specify. So you're in control. If you think that a package is the best one for a specific set of users to get on a specific client, then set that package to be the highest version. We showed you how we've simplified some submissions, some of the things that we got the most feedback about, that we've tried to make it as easy as possible for you to get your app in front of your customers as quickly as possible. And we've increased the number of people who can see your app. We have the new business portal. So for the first time, a business can buy many, many copies of your app and provide those copies to employees. So what can you do now? You can view your apps in the Preview Dev Center. Please use the feedback control to let us know what you think. dev.windows.com, it's the same URL as the old Dev Center, but remember we have those three options. You're still in full control of your apps using the Windows Phone Dev Center, or rather the Windows Phone Dashboard and the Windows Dashboard. You can update your listings and your screenshots and anything else you would like to update. We're giving you the map for what your Windows 10 customers will see. Your customers on Windows Phone 7, 8, 8.1, Windows 8 and 8.1 will keep seeing the thing that you are publishing in those portals today. If you have an experience that spans device families and you haven't linked those apps together, now is a great time to link those apps. This is the way to update those experiences with one Windows 10 package that's an update to all of your existing packages. Tomorrow, we have 2 more sessions where we're going to cover the app monetization and acquiring users and monetizing and promoting your Windows apps with ads. So our colleagues are going to be able to go into great detail on those particular pieces of the new Dev Center. So we'd love to hear what you think of this session. So please scan the QR code, evaluate. We can't wait to read your feedback. And we have some time for questions. So if Matt and Ted, if you'd like to come back up. I think there's a microphone where you can queue up. And we'll also be in the expert zone for 90 minutes after this. So we'd be happy to take your questions in person as well. Yeah.
So I'm an enterprise developer, and I sideload Windows 8 apps currently, and we don't use Intune. So how can we set up an enterprise store and I use that to update the apps for just our own company?
OK. So there's a new web storefront, which is the Business Store Portal. And it's essentially, you have a new person involved in the app licensing loop, where instead of a person with their own MSA purchasing the app from their device, you have somebody from your organization, IT manager or equivalent, goes to the Business Store Portal, sets up an account there, purchases licenses for apps there, and can then assign those licenses to people within your organization. Yeah, so what you can do is have your IT person go to the Business Store Portal, create an account, and then there's a method where you can say, this particular developer, in this case, your own internal development account, is going to provide apps to my organization. So it's from the Business Store Portal that there is a method for specifying a particular developer or set of developers who can publish into that organization. So from the BSP, you make that. Once that relationship is formed, when you go to the new One Dev Center dashboard, there will be an ability to say, this app is going only to users in this organization that my account is associated with.
As far as the device management question, which I think was part of the original one, the business store is going to be talking more about there'll be more about the business store, I believe, coming out next week at Ignite, right? Yeah, so stay tuned, and then next week you should have a lot more information about the business store and the enterprise story for device management and updating.
Next question.
So I have a couple questions. One is about the replication of data from the Windows 8 phone store and the Windows 8.1 app store into the Windows 10 store.
OK.
So I guess the question is, every time an app is updated within the phone or desktop store, it's replicated into the 10 store. What content is replicated? Is it just the binaries, or is it also the metadata?
So it is all the binaries and all the metadata. And there'll be a blog post tomorrow because there's some metadata where, for example, prices in this category. The prices that you can choose in the existing 2 stores, they're the same tiers, but it is possible, either intentionally or accidentally, that you chose different prices. We need to pick one for the Windows 10 customers. So we do choose that Windows-based price. But essentially, all of the metadata comes. It's not just packages. It's all your descriptions. It's all your screenshots. It's all the various options, like trial, that you also chose. Mm-hmm. As Ted illustrated, when we have multiple copies where you maybe had tailored the text of your descriptions for specific clients, because the clients did change their rendering behavior over time, as he showed you with the primary and the custom listings, we bring the Windows description in as the primary, or if it's not a linked app, we bring the highest version in as the primary. And then we also bring all of your data in as customs. So when control of your apps is transferred to the new dashboard, you'll actually be able to keep those customs, and your existing users running those old clients can still see the same text, and you use your primary to address your Windows 10 customers.
Okay, so I think that answers my question, because in the 10 store, you end up updating the base descriptions and the base prices, and you're not really updating the custom prices or the custom content or the version-specific information in the 10 store. So when it does get updated in the 8 store, you're not persistently overriding any custom updates you've done in the 10 store.
So at any given point in time, you have editing control either in the existing 2 stores or the new dashboard. It'll never be all 3 at the same time. Okay. So our data transfer process has the same logic every time. So
oh, I see. Okay.
you update one or the other, we do the same merge logic and bring that to the Windows 10 store.
Okay, and then one more quick question was, with the hardware prerequisites, you talked about, say, touchscreen, mouse, and keyboard. Is there complex combinations between those that you can require, saying you either have to have mouse and keyboard or touchscreen?
No, you can do an and, but not an or. So you can say that this app requires mouse and keyboard, which seems like it's going to be a fairly common combination, but you can't do an or together of the requirements.
Okay.
If your app is runtime doing interesting things back and forth between the two, like if you're responding to Continuum or doing other stuff, we expect that that's something that your app will handle gracefully at runtime. So these boxes are more for, hey, I made a game that requires multi-touch to get past the second level. So if there's a way around that with mouse and keyboard, you don't need touch.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Hi, I have some question around, we didn't talk about reviews, and especially when you have some trouble with maybe the phone app, even if it's an universal one, you have some bugs or something like that, and you have bad reviews on that. It could, will it be filtered per device, per family, or something like that, or every single review will be shown on every device?
So we're still investigating what the best way for developers and for customers is to segment the reviews. One of the areas that we're making sure that we find the appropriate balance in is that if you have lots of reviews that are consistently great about your application across both the desktop and mobile customers, we don't want to cut the number of 5-star reviews that any prospective customer sees in half by forcibly segmenting them. However, we do know that some apps have different ratings across the two and are working out what the best way is to surface that, protecting the good one while also informing the customer of the...
So will it be, you're talking about a blog, and you will be, that could be really a detailed description of what will happen on Win 10, and we really want to know how it will impact our business, especially on reviews, when your business is based on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really good feedback, and we'll bring that to the review team and ask them to share as much as they can.
We are very sensitive to how important ratings and reviews are to your business. So that's why we're taking the time and looking at the data that we have from linked apps today to make sure that whatever we do is right for developers as well as for customers.
Thank you.
Would it be possible to publish system utilities users which use services or drivers into Windows 10 store?
If I understood the question correctly, it was about drivers?
For example, antiviruses or some other utilities. Would it be possible to publish software like this to the Windows 10 store?
This sounds like an app container question. Yeah. So I don't have any particular insight on the app container boundaries. So there are some other sessions. In fact, if you wanted to chat with Ashish in the front row, I think he can help with that. Okay. Yeah, to us, it's a Windows 10 package that we take pains to treat just like any other Windows 10 package, so that you have a consistent experience for publishing all of them, no matter what the technology you use to create that package is. Yeah.
Hi, congrats on the progress you're making. I'm interested in per-market pricing, betas, volume licensing tokens, and responding to reviews. So
It's a good
since you
list.
can't address all of that right now, is all of that documented now, or will it be soon, and where would I find that?
So our portal is not yet fully complete, and that includes the documentation portions of it. You can explore the portal, but there will be a number of the documentation links that just aren't written yet. We were super eager to get you guys a chance to look at the portal as soon as we could, and we just aren't finished yet, and that includes writing the documentation. We are sharing a lot of the details in tomorrow's blog post, and we're also happy to chat with you in depth after this, and because we probably know a lot of the answers that you have questions for.
We'll be in the expert zone, which is on the second floor, next to all the signs that say download or experts.
Yeah.
For Windows 8 Store, there is a requirement that you cannot publish plugins into the store. Will this be revised for Windows 10 Store? For example, we have a plugin for Internet Explorer. Internet Explorer still remains in Windows 10.
If you have questions about plugins, Ashish in the front row here is the correct person to ask.
Good.
Yeah.
Hi, can you talk at all about whether in the new Dev Center and store interface you'll be able to have multiple admin users with different permissions? So you can assign, say, permissions to third-party developers who want to publish on your behalf?
So earlier today during the What's New in Store talk, Adrian talked about the fact that we will have multi-user, be able to sign into a single dev account, and that will include role-based access control for those systems.
Any other questions? Great. Well, thank you so much for spending the time with us. We do really appreciate it. And we'll be in the expert zone if you have any other questions. Thanks a lot.
Thank you all.